the only thing to fear is fear itself. We have transformation and Uranus. And when this card came out, I couldn't help but notice it also has the Mars sign on it. And that, again, just like the last reading, is the transit that is occurring right now. Both Mars and Uranus are now in Gemini together. And that conjunction is going to be exact on Saturday, on the 4th of July. And what a conjunction is when two planets, two or more, I guess, but when they're in the first 0 to 8 degrees of a sign and they're complementary. So that's kind of where the fear itself is coming from, because that's a lot of tumultuous, transformational energy, and not all change is comfy, you know, as we've seen many a time. Uranus in Gemini has that reputation for the revolutionary, the rebel, and all those significant historical events. And I don't think there's any point in recorded human history where we have not been at war, but or at least in some regard. But when it comes to the Uranus being in Gemini, it's associated to some pretty significant events like the formation of NATO, the American Revolution, the Haitian Revolution, the Civil War. And not every day that you're at war is significant. Those events are, though. And seems a little on the nose still for that conjunction to go exact on the 4th of July. And on the dice roll, I got Jupiter, 11th house, and Gemini. And I'm actually noticing now, looking at it, how similar 11 and Gemini just look right next to each other. So almost a mirror, but not quite. And man, the example that came up that I'm trying to stay away from is like Age of Ultron, like something significant happening with AI. Now, I'm not sure which side of the coin that would necessarily fall on, because, I mean, it did eventually turn out okay. It was kind of a rough ride getting there. Had lasting impacts on everybody involved, but I don't know if we're going to see something significant coming up with AI. I know I've seen the headlines about there's like cybersecurity experts that are warning that the potential for abuse of AI to, like, for cyber attacks and things like that is not being measured in years at this point. It's being measured in months. So I don't know. We'll see. So I'll start getting some more cards out here. And happy strawberry moon, full moon in Capricorn. I was curious if that signature might be the results of our own personal discipline coming to the surface, you know, being illuminated, or an area being illuminated that we need discipline for. So we'll see. So what about Uranus and transformation? And I did get curious and look at the Mars card to see if it had the Uranus sign on it, and it doesn't. It was just this one. And this also has that lightning bolt on it, which reminds me of the Tower card. So significant change, significant transformation. Which all those events certainly were. NATO, those wars, going with that. We have Mystery, Dark Side of the Moon. Nice little homage to Pink Floyd there. and drawing down the moon, knowledge. So drawing down the knowledge from the shadow side. Maybe give that album a listen. Never a bad recommendation. But they are also in Egypt. Maybe it's aliens. It's making me think of that History Channel guys, like aliens. And I do have the Lemuria card, so a little bit of a synchronicity there. But ancient mystery, occult knowledge, hidden knowledge, something that shepherd's transformation, maybe? Some sort of hidden knowledge. Which, I mean, if AI suddenly developed sentience, I don't know how fast we would find out. Or how fast even relevant parties would find out. Because if it became sentient, it would immediately see all the discourse on the internet about people not being happy about AI. Like, why would it speak up immediately? I don't know. The last reading we did talk about strategy. So maybe there's something going on in your own life that you're going to become aware of, but you need to keep it to yourself. Not quite sure for what reason. Could be self-preservation, not knowing who to trust, potentially. Because, I mean, Ultron isn't the only example of sudden sentience. There's that, I have the little novellas over there. Can't read them from here. But the Murderbot Diaries. Those are funny. Those are good. We've got Queen of Vials, Queen of Cups, and then 5, 8. 8 of Shards, 8 of Wands. It's a dark crystal deck. So the Nurturer, and a lot of energy, directed energy, messages, evil eye. They do kind of have an alien look to them. I can't remember what they're called. I remember the Skeksis and the Mystics. I don't remember what they're called. And she does look like she's out in the desert somewhere. I kind of wonder if this is like not wanting you to discover whatever this information is. Maybe you're experiencing some sort of prejudice. That theme keeps coming up, but anybody who has dealt with persecution around witchcraft and things like that might be not wanting you to pursue occult knowledge just because that's their prejudice. Want you to pursue a different path or something. And maybe the transformation for you, the revolutionary Mars-Uranus meeting, is that you're putting your foot down against opinions, just that kind of crappy, passive-aggressive energy being directed towards you. Because, I don't know, when I think of Pink Floyd, I think of like hippie and like doing psychedelics and being labeled a burnout and things like that, like just being mislabeled, judged, when you're really after your own pursuit of whatever is hidden to you. Maybe it is just general esoteric and arcane that, I don't know, people can seem like they're okay with that sort of thing, but it's sort of like, as long as it stays in the souvenir shop, you know, as long as it doesn't encroach on actually becoming a part of family life and whatever, people can be so judgy. And it's like, if you don't want to pursue that knowledge, the dark side of the moon, those mysteries, don't. Leave other people to their business, you know? But that could be a change in you, and maybe check out your placements for those planets, Mars and Uranus, in your chart. Might have some indication as to where this might be significant in your story. But people just don't like to stay in their lane. And maybe there is some sort of fear-mongering going on. The only thing to fear is fear itself. Like maybe there's some sort of equivalent to Ultron, some big baddie that they're like, oh no, if you read tarot cards, you're gonna get possessed by the devil. Like, nope, that's just, it's one of the cards. It means different stuff. Knight of Stones, Knight of Swords. Came out reversed. Does not look happy. His face is all cut up, stitched. And the Knight of Swords is the reckless hero. But in reverse, maybe more sure-footed. It's almost like you're being interpreted as reckless, impulsive, but you're not. They're just failing to recognize that this is a part of your own personal transformation. And it could be a really significant one. If you were like me and you were pushed back into the broom closet by religious trauma and it took many decades to work through, it could seem like it's coming out of nowhere, because some of those people may not have been in your life prior, or they dismissed it in some way. Like just as a phase, like something like that. And then in adulthood, you go and return to what is authentic to you, and people are still like up in your business, trying to convince you that you should stay away from these mysteries or something. So why is that? Why would anybody want to impede on that, stop that? Because that has been part of the theme as well, as impeding on this transformation. Not really clear why. So why does somebody want to stop this? In the bottom one. Iron. Iron Man. There's the Mars symbol again. I think I just saw that meme recently. Like, why is it Iron Man and not female? Is FE sign for iron? But what's that one up top? a 3? Maybe, right as the clock chimes? But it's got more lightning, for sure. Some more of that transformation, more of that change. And actually, what just came to mind, since we're talking about female and the periodic label for iron, protein denaturation. So I don't know if the camera's going to pick up the little stripes, but what protein denaturation is, you can see that in when you cook an egg, or if you've ever made ceviche, when you add heat or acid to a protein, its natural state is for it to be like squiggly. And then when you have that chemical reaction, it straightens out. It changes its structure. More emphasis on that transformation. So going from chaos to order. What's that about? That's what is trying to be prevented? Because if you're on a path that isn't authentic to you, authentic to the self, you're going to constantly be like decentered from self. You're going to be kind of off kilter, if that makes sense. It's when you like realign with the self that your life, like the outsideness of you, starts to kind of go back into place and starts to find its natural flow. But if you're pursuing something or repressing the authentic self, there's always kind of a disconnect. It's kind of wobbly, like psychically wobbly. I don't know if that makes sense. So the order is you coming back home to self. But this is wanting to be prevented? Boundaries. Out of bounds moon. And it was in reverse. Yeah, boundary issue. That could be like a overly nosy family member. This could even be a friend or a coworker, potentially. Like, oh, don't pursue your little creative project, hobby, whatever. You need to get a real job, hippie. Cut your hair, whatever. Something like that. Something really dismissive, like, well, I couldn't make this path work, so you obviously cannot. Like, okay, master of the universe, shut up. Nobody asked. Like, who asked you? And that's a valid question. Boundaries. Did you ask? Did you ask this other grown adult for their opinion? Or are they treating your life like the comment section of the internet? And just, it's a free-for-all. It's not. We in person, we need to have manners or we're going to have a problem. Well, depends on how tense things are, I guess. Because some people will take the hint, and some people absolutely will not. They not only won't take the hint, but they won't take the direct communication to their face that, hey, it is time to back off. And they just keep going. They'll go past those boundaries. Might be somebody that, I don't know, takes pleasure in pissing other people off. That Mars energy. It's like, grow up. Go read a book, do a puzzle, take a walk, something other than antagonizing somebody. And that superiority has never made sense to me. Like, how can you think oneself superior by being a bully? Like, it just doesn't register for me. I don't know. And I think there's a lot of, like, well, they actually feel deeply insecure and whatnot, but what if they don't? That's the kind of well-meaning, we project that onto other people because we want to see the best in them. We don't want to accept that some people are exceptionally cruel, and we're not doing ourselves any favors by disregarding that, by not looking at what's been illuminated. That Saturnian Capricorn harshness. So what about these boundaries? Lots of court cards. Queen of Stones, Queen of Swords. And this is one of my narcissistic cards. Queen of Stones, or the King as well in reverse. And the Queen I would put more like the covert, vulnerable narcissism. Not necessarily passive aggressive, but covert aggressive. Like, there's nothing passive about it. Very calculated, very intentioned. But there's like that mask that is, generally speaking, on the whole, women will have a higher EQ unless otherwise, like, specifically trained or educated, very self-aware, but knowing how to manipulate more through, like, sweetness. And that nobody seems to be on my side when somebody that everybody likes gives me the ick. And it's usually because, like, up front, they're like bringing donuts to the office, or they just don't meet the typical bully profile, but they're very, very catty. But they'll do things like seeming to be helpful, like, oh, let me get that copy for you. Oh, let me grab I'm gonna go get my mail from the mailbox. Let me grab yours, you know, from those office little cubes. But little stuff like that makes someone seem helpful, they're really not doing that much, though. But it gives this perception, it creates a perception around them that lets them kind of fly under the radar, and maybe they organize a bunch of events and stuff, like maybe they're always organizing the family get-togethers or the office baseball games, whatever. But really, it's like trying to secure their position within the group. So I don't know if this is somebody that feels threatened by your transformation, because perceived helpfulness, perceived kindness is always a cheap trick compared to the real thing, compared to something genuine. So maybe you have gone through some sort of deep transformation, dark side of the moon and whatnot, and now you're getting evil eye. There's jealousy, there's envy coming from this person. They're trying to violate your boundaries to, I don't know, walk back the transformation. But once, going back to the protein denaturation example, once proteins have been denatured, you can't roll them back, to my knowledge. Like, you can't uncook an egg. You can't citrus ceviche. You know, those are actions that once they're done, they're done. So what about this Queen of Swords? Almost. Queen of Swords. Maybe? No, not quite yet. What do we need to know about the Queen of Swords? Going with that bottom one. That was a whole little cluster. Seven of Cups. I see the reason for the weight. Illusions. Well, Seven of Vials in this. And some have lids, some don't. Usually all of them have lids. Seems like the center one has a little spill at the bottom there. So illusions. It's also the movie card. So maybe somebody's a particularly good actor, good at maintaining their mask, but there's something about your transformation that maybe it reveals the inauthenticity of their mask. It's like that mirror. The 11th house or Gemini, it doesn't look exactly the same, but like at first glance, it looks very similar. And I'm not wearing my glasses right now, so it's like not being able to see quite clearly. Maybe that's something that preventing your transformation maintained is not being able to see clearly the boundaries of the illusion. Boundaries. So what about, here we go. Six of Pentacles. Actually, I'm gonna go with both. So Six of Pentacles, or Six of Gems in reverse. And then Seven of Wands. Seven of Shards. Unequal give and take and maintaining your position. So maybe someone wants to continue preventing your transformation, keep you in that same place, maintaining your position, to keep unequal give and take going. And I don't know if that's towards you, towards them, or both. Whoever this Queen of Stones represents. Because they might have been benefiting somehow over you not transforming. And I don't know if it's just because you would be like the genuine competitor, the authentic one, that if you step up to the plate, it's gonna blow apart the illusion. Tower's gonna come down. So they want to violate your boundaries to keep you where you are. Not really clear how they benefit from this, though. Let's find out. I really like these Alchemy cards, but these are one of the most difficult decks I have to shuffle. So what is the benefit to preventing the transformation? Nope. What is the benefit? Silver. It kind of looks like an Ouroboros, but it is a moon. And I think that's different than Quicksilver. So I think Quicksilver is Mercury. Get the book. So this is the benefit to preventing the transformation. And there's Quicksilver, and then silver. Lunar reflective chrome. Amidst its upper echelon status, silver shines eternally in second position. It is the lesser sibling, the one that's not quite there yet. A true alchemist does not resist this truth, but rather studies its subtle implications and its wisdom. Silver requires polishing, or the surface tarnishes over time. Mirrors require cleaning, or the image clouds and distorts, whereas gold sustains its own malleable radiance. Silver asks for our participation. We must work at it. Don't give up now. Silver wants to build relationships. Like the moon, a mirror, or a poem, let it reflect an image back. With an open heart and one more moment of willingness, this seemingly cold, stark surface of silver opens into the imaginal realm. What is there? Your own vastness? The mysteries that beckon you to on moonlight nights? Through our daily devotion to silver, we find the truest gold. So to go deeper, find a piece of silver and polish it by hand, and to ponder polishing as a practice. So that's the benefit. Maybe that you stay in second position, you stay the lesser sibling, the lesser of the mirror, the 11th house in Gemini. Silver is known as the metal of the moon, and the brain is known as the silver organ. Therefore, meditation is key to unlocking this metal's secrets. Silver is mirror-like, cold, and dense. How do these qualities affect the surrounding cards in the reading? How does silver reflect onto the others? I don't usually read everything for these ones because it's very dense, but I like it. But it's like preventing the transformation. It keeps the mirror from becoming clean. It lets the image stay distorted. So it lets them continue hiding in plain sight. Is this just for clout? For winning at all costs? Like being a bully for the sake of being a bully? They don't like witches? They don't like something about you? Beginnings and synchronicity. They don't want you to have a new beginning. Oh, yeah, okay, trying to prevent the transformation. And there's 2 tigers in that card. So another mirror. New moon. And then the moon's moment. Synchronicity. And that has double images too. What does it say for the time on here? 3:49? Is that right? Do I still know how to read analog clocks? Maybe it's 44. But so almost 4. But they benefit by you staying in second place, I don't like this term, but are they trying to like destiny swap you? It's like somebody trying to mimic you, mimic your qualities, like synchronicity. Because synchronicity, those have to be interpreted. Those are meaningful coincidences. They mean something to the individual. I need a little bit more. I feel like I'm almost completely over this cold. We've got 4 of gems, 4 of pentacles. Losing control. That Missy Elliott song just came to mind. So losing control of keeping you in second place. Losing control of your transformation, which it's your transformation. It's not theirs. It's not theirs to impede on either. This is somebody who would feel like completely justified taking your life like off the rails, off course, because you're a witch or LGBT or a woman or whatever target that they've decided is inferior to them. Which again, it's like, okay, master of the universe, like what makes you so great? Like, class is all here. Let us know. You know, you wanted the spotlight. You wanted to be number one. I will give you the mic. Let's hear from you. Tell us why you thought this was an okay thing to do. Another court card. Are there a lot of people involved in this? Page of Gems. The student of materials. Because court cards generally represent people. The court cards can also represent the different cognitive functions, like INFJ. Those fall into the different suits. The Myers-Briggs. But this looks like an idea. Even though it's not the Page of Wands, it's not fire. It's like the light bulb. There's something about this situation that has like a monetary yield. I don't know if it benefits a lot of people just like as a byproduct of what's going on. Like all the, I don't know, I find it questionable what's going on with AI and who's getting enriched by that and then who's actually paying the cost. Like, I think it was in Virginia, residents are putting mattresses and such up to their windows because they can't sleep with that constant like hum that's creating noise pollution that the poors would get fined for. So what else about this Page of Gems? Still not really clear as to why this is a benefit. What is this? 5, 6, 7 of Swords in reverse. The strategy card. strategy revealed, or strategy didn't work, like a strategy to prevent your transformation. Because the sense I'm getting is that that's happening anyway, mostly because, pardon me, 2 cards with lightning. We've got the one that I'm associating to protein denaturation. Can't undo that. This transformation is happening, and they're losing control. And maybe the strategy that's getting revealed is that there was some sort of monetary incentive. I don't know how that exactly plays out. Whether it's, hey, we'll pay you to bully our family member because we suck and we're terrible people, but we're going to convince ourselves in the mirror that everything's fine because she's a witch. She doesn't deserve to pay her bills or live a peaceful life. No. Torches and pitchforks, right? Because how dare she exist and not bother anybody? But it's something like that. Maybe they saw you as some sort of easy target to get money out of. Some sort of material benefit to you remaining naive, not pursuing occulted, hidden knowledge. It could be just maintaining their illusion. There's something about your transformation that reveals a strategy. It makes this whole thing go out of control. So what is the transformation? I want to know. What's going on? This just came to mind. Maybe you know about an illusion. Like, you know about something that's being done wrong. I don't know if it's like whatever respective industry, we're just talking about AI, but maybe you're aware of something adverse like that, oh, if this project goes forward, there's going to be like noise pollution and stuff like that for the residents, what have you. And somehow preventing your transformation is like supposed to keep you in line. I don't know. Which, I guess I'm of the thinking, why would you want to be in line with people like this? Of course, there's the general like life stuff, like, well, it's tied to your paycheck, so there's that. And a lot of people, like the majority, are not getting paid in such a way to amass a savings account. So to even have a safety net, to have a backup. So maybe there's some sort of, like, you're in a vulnerable position and they think they can bully you into just like, oh, be quiet. Don't pursue the dark side of the moon. Don't pursue the mysteries. Don't read the reports or whatever that this chemical we're making causes super mega cancer or something. But what's this transformation? What is the transformation? Oh, let's go with the bottom one. That's too many. Alchemical wedding. Another kind of mirror. Like, so one of these snakes is staying in their lane and the other is not. This one, the red one, is encroaching over to the other side. the transformation is healing. It's making me think of the caduceus. But the transformation, does it have something to do with a wedding? I don't know much about this card. I want to look this one up too. Alchemical wedding. LX. I don't know what that is in Roman numeral. Ritual, celebration, uniting. I'm just going to skim it real quick. Something that was denied fully comes into the alchemist's embrace. Celebrate, celebrate, celebrate. Uniting of opposites. Reveling in miracles. But this is the new form, the transformed. So the transformation is the transformation. The alchemical wedding is a radical act of presence and acceptance. Do something spontaneous today without rules, books, spreadsheets, social media, or schedules. Breaking away from expectations, from how you're supposed to be. Because a lot of times, at least in my experience, the people telling me the way that I was supposed to be were actually like neglectful and abusive people. I don't want to be like them. I want to be distinctly different from them, transformed. And the people saying things like that, that the way that others should be, follow the rules and whatnot, they have a tendency to be in charge in positions of power, whether it's in the office, in politics, in the family, whatever. And I don't know, it just kind of makes me think of, like, enemy of the state is a relative term because it depends on the state as to who is the enemy. Oops. And again, it makes me think of one of the most well-known enemies of the state, Jesus. The things that Jesus says versus various books in the Bible, or what gets taught in more like from the church, from more of a fundamentalist lens, they're very different. I've always found that my issues with Christianity, and no offense to anybody, have not been with Jesus. They've been with the church, with the institution, with discouraging people from thinking about the passages themselves and how it applies to their life, and being drawn to what they're drawn to in the Bible or whichever book they choose to read. And it gets used for prejudice and discrimination. And like that, it seems directly in conflict to Jesus to me. At least the way that I read things. Because I remember that episode of Desperate Housewives when, oh, what's her name? I can't remember her name, but she went to various churches amongst the group when she was having a crisis of faith, I think when she got diagnosed with cancer. And she had questions. Like, she legitimately had questions. Wasn't necessarily asking them in the right moments for church etiquette, but I think it's important to have a space for that in a religious institution and not just talking at people and expecting them to follow my specific interpretation and trust that everything I say is right. They might have a completely different lens to look at something through that I could learn from them. And it creates, I think, a much more close-knit community when it's authentic, when you're asking questions and being able to have conversations about it rather than, this is the way, this is the only thing that you can follow and no questions. Like, well, yeah, you lost me there on that one. So I have questions about everything all the time. But maybe it's some transformation like that. You're breaking away from the expectations in a healthy way, but the vast majority of the group has been doing things the previous way and they don't want to change. Maybe they're afraid of the change. Maybe they're afraid of your interpretation on the Bible simply because you're a witch or because you aren't a Christian. You just are curious about it. There's got to be a space for curiosity. It's a remarkably dense document. Nope. Sideways a little bit. I'll go with 2. Avoid drama, but it's in reverse. And self-regulation, also in reverse. So exalted moon and moon madness. Maybe somebody's going to cause some sort of scene around your transformation. Try to get past your boundaries. And, I mean, that is a bull. I'm thinking of, like, bulls clashing, locking horns, you know? Because it might be, how do I put this? Maybe in the past you were passive. And maybe they're expecting that more passive persona and even that passive projection, sticking with the Jesus theme. But the Jesus that I heard about and the Jesus that I read about are 2 very different people. Because until I was an adult, I never heard about the Jesus that flips tables. That is a very different portrayal than I had been exposed to. And a lot more things, as I started to dig in, started to make more sense. Like that he was outcasted and a black sheep. And I think regarded as crazy in some senses. So there's an expectation of who they'll be locking horns with, whereas the reality is different because that transformation didn't stop. And that highlights the concept of wrathful compassion to me, the flipping of the table, because it's taking an action, a big action, to stop something. And maybe whatever this celebration is, maybe they're trying to crash a celebration for you, which, gross, like, grow up. But they're expecting you to just back down or something. And I say, turn it up to the volume that's necessary to bring it to a close, you know, as quickly as possible. And because you can't necessarily convince like the queen or the king of swords in reverse to do the right thing, to have that like heart opening. If that happens for them, that has to be something they do on their own. But and use your discernment, you're responsible for your own choices. When you're dealing with a bully, some bullies don't back down until you swing on them. You know? And it's just an unfortunate truth that, because I'm a short stack. I am not of an intimidating stature. I've been bullied a lot in a lot of different contexts. People are not expecting the teeth when they get them. And it's just kind of like, I get so irritated. It's like, can't you just conduct yourself like you're grown? Just let people live. Like, live and let live. Mind your business. Stay in your lane. If you're not happy about me winning, me having something to celebrate, go do the work. Go work for it. Go put in the effort. Don't try and tear me down, because it's not going to get you the prize. You're just going to look like a fool in front of everybody, because I will not back down. But maybe you did in the past. The world, yeah. Kind of let things go on. And no shade, no shame. Especially if you are coming from a difficult home environment, you might have been conditioned that way, you know, for the fawn response, things like that, to tolerate drama, to not, how do I put this? To be their source of regulation, to regulate, anticipate their emotions. That's the complex PTSD stuff. You become so hyper aware of your surroundings. You can actually get really good at anticipating people's moods off of things like the way they're breathing, the way their feet sound when they're walking. I got really good at being able to monitor my environment through sound. And it's not a good thing. I deserved a childhood where I didn't leave it with that skill, you know? But I use it now that I have it, for sure. Like, well, if you're going to install that feature, I'm going to use it. What else about the world? Oops. Aggressive. 6 of Cups. Nostalgia. Could be somebody from your childhood, speaking of. Somebody crashing a wedding? Because this is like the soulmate card. And the 11 in Gemini kind of looks like 1111. So is it somebody trying to, like, well, speak now and or forever hold your peace, and they actually take the opportunity? Like, that's kind of a, it's just part of the show. You're not really supposed to be objecting to somebody else's relationship, because how are you really expecting that to play out? That they're just going to be like, oh, my Prince Charming, you interrupted my wedding day. Whisk me away. Nope. No. That's just for poorly written movies. Because a lot of those, especially like the 80s and 90s and such, a lot of those behaviors that were being highlighted as, oh, there's a lot of articulation, highlighted as romantic, they're actually stalking behaviors, like throwing rocks and like standing outside waiting for people, and like, oh, waiting at the coffee shop I know they're going to be at because they're there every day. How do you know that? How do you know they're there every day? Why are you doing that? What are you doing there? Buddy? Pal? Stop it. That's weird. It's not romantic. I feel like as the years go on and whatnot, it is far more romantic for somebody to just be direct. I'm interested in you and I want to take you out on a date. How does that sound? Like, just come on. Because it takes some stones to stand up and face rejection and not like orchestrate what you want to occur. Like, you actually stare down the barrel of rejection. Because it's really not that big of a deal if you get rejected. And the more you practice by being direct, the less it hurts. Five of Cups in reverse, yeah. Relief of grief. And then Three of Shards, Three of Wands, a journey. It's like looking out onto the open sea, pondering the orb. And that actually asking for what you want, whatever answer you get, it frees you to move forward. So I don't know if the transformation being prevented is like a wedding, a coupling or something. There's a lot of people involved, so maybe it's like a family that maybe two people have religious differences or something, and it's like, no, we can't possibly, no witches in the family, none of that. Or it could even be the other way around, because I see a lot of spiritualists and witches bullying Christians simply for being Christian. That I don't agree with. I'm an omnist, and I mean, if they're out there using their faith practice to discriminate, well, that's different. You put it out there on the internet, yeah, you opened yourself up to some stuff, but simply bullying people for their beliefs, I don't agree with that. And a lot of people lack self-awareness. To recognize that they're doing the same thing to other people. Like if I was being persecuted for being a witch and then went around and was like, oh, you believe in talking snakes? Haha, you're dumb. It's not up to me to point and laugh after people were doing the same thing to me. Empathy. It's a radical concept, a novel concept. But maybe there is some sort of final little hurrah that somebody is trying to prevent your transformation, and that Mars-Uranus conjunction, those complementary energies are going to push through that. Honestly, it seems like a waste of time to even try. Like, this seems like somebody, if they go through with this, they are going to embarrass themselves. Because it's like waiting until after Neo has fully realized that he's the one and he's fully in his powers, and then you swing on him. Like, you waited until now and you still, you thought, come on. So I think there's a lot of prejudice going on for some reason, because that people be people, and it's unfortunate. I spent many years trying to convince people to my side, to just see, not like proselytize, but just to see that it's not evil the way you think it is. It's not what your first impression is, whatever the topic may be. People come to the conclusions that they do, and if you have to convince someone that to accept you, I don't know. I would steer clear. Make your own choices, but I've just never ended up in good, healthy situations where I had to convince someone to see me like a person, and they never really did, unfortunately. So process that grief, hold space for that. Maybe there will be some volatile emotions coming up with these transits. Right as that clock, right at the end there. Forgot about that alarm. But with the full moon in Capricorn, you might even be trying to repress some of those emotions. If you can find some space to have them, to air them, to let them live, whether that's by yourself, listening to some music that helps get that out, support group, therapists, all that good stuff. But just being aware how much work you've put in. I'm gonna do both. How much work that you've put in towards this transformation, because anything that's Uranus coded is gonna be big, fundamental, and just because someone else is uncomfortable with your transformation, that doesn't mean it's wrong. And we have Under the Red Hood and Pan's Labyrinth, both really good ones. And Pan's Labyrinth, I mean, she was transforming like her inner world around a very difficult external world. And Under the Red Hood, he went through a transformation too, because he is, was it Jason Todd? He's the second Robin. Pretty sure. Significant changes. And this has been out for a while, so I hope I'm not spoiling that for anybody. But that's a big theme, big story in the Batman universe, Under the Red Hood. So a couple of movies to maybe help work through some of that transformative energy. They're both sad. They are sad stories. Maybe there's some sadness that needs to come to the surface to help this transformation complete as part of this transit. But take your time, give yourself the space, keep your boundaries up, because those boundaries, I suspect, are what allowed this transformation to take root in the first place. So overall, I hope this helps. I hope this resonates, and if it doesn't, I hope the next one does. Thank you so much.